And we're gonna get started in child's pose. And so if that's a shape that feels funky at all, if there's anything that doesn't feel quite right, I have some ideas. So one is to take a blanket, a towel, a couch cushion, whatever you've got handy, and put it between your heels and your hips. You can have your knees narrow, your knees wide. So we're gonna bring the forearms down to the ground. And if it's available, maybe your forehead down to the ground too. This is also a place where you could put a folded up or rolled up blanket or towel or a couch cushion under your torso if you want to prop your body up just a little bit further off the ground. But if your head is able to rest somewhere solid, let's give the forehead a little massage. So turn your head side to side. Iron out any tension in your forehead area, eyebrow area. And then pause in the middle. And do the same thing with your jaw. Move the bottom half of your jaw side to side and kind of wiggle it around. Maybe even open and close your mouth really wide, or wiggle your tongue, or stick your tongue out as far as you can, but don't lick the floor. And then pause that as well. There's a whole bunch of nerves, of course, connected to your tongue and your jaw. Just releasing those as well. And we'll use the first few moments of this practice to check in, see what we're coming in with into our bodies, onto our mats, into this practice. And so that could be physical things, like if you are feeling kind of sore, or kind of tight, or physical sensations in your muscles or your joints or anywhere else like that. But it can also be the more abstract, that kind of internal experience that we're arriving with. So your headspace, your thoughts, where is your attention, or what's taking up a lot of your brain space today? How's your mood? Your heart? And what does the energy feel like in your body? And so that might be the amount of energy that you have. So if you have a lot of energy, if you have a little bit of energy, it might be the quality of the energy. Does it feel like it's contained, expanding out? So just kind of taking inventory of what you're coming in with and all the things that are going to show up in the way that you move and the way that you breathe. And then we're going to settle all of that attention on our breath. And asana is the movement practice in yoga. There's 8 different limbs, but asana is the postures. Pranayama is our breath. It's another one of the limbs of yoga. And we can't really do asana without pranayama, without breath. So if it's available, start to deepen your breath. Your inhale is getting a little fuller. And on your exhale, feel yourself kind of step into your own skin a little more fully, almost as if you're like putting on a sweater or putting on your pants. You are stepping into your own body. Full breaths in and full breaths out. Breathing not only into your belly, but also into your sides and also into your back space. And we're going to keep this breath, if it's possible, maybe breathing through your nose. There's some cool stuff that happens when we breathe through our nose. If that's not an option, no worries. You can breathe through your mouth, but see if you can control that stream of breath, almost as if you were breathing through a straw. Now keep the breath, don't lose it, but pick up your forehead and walk your hands off that left edge of your yoga mat all the way onto the floor. And then reroot your elbows, reroot your forehead down. Little side bend here, breathing into the right side of your body. Armpits sinking down towards the floor. Eyes can stay closed, or gaze can be kind of hazy and soft, whatever feels right today. One more breath here, inhaling all the way from your right hip crease to your right pinky finger. And on the exhale, right armpit, right hip a little heavier. And then pick your forehead back up. We're going to walk it over to the other side. So hands toward the right, all the way off the side of the towel or the yoga mat or whatever space you're in. You're outside your little rectangle now. Settle back in, left elbow, head heavy. Now you're breathing into the left side of your body. Big inhales to your armpit, your rib cage, your waist. And on your exhale, shoulder a little heavier. One more big inhale. Puff out that left side of your body like a balloon. Exhale, armpit heavy. All right, pick your forehead back up. Make your way up towards hands and knees, tabletop. If you've got any props hanging around, you can scoot them out of the way, but we're gonna meet with wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. I just want you to start moving. And so familiar pattern might be some cat-cow here. Inhaling, the heart curls through the upper arms as the tail and the crown lift. On the exhale, rounding your spine, maybe feeling your shoulder blades press wide as you press the ground away. Just 2 more breaths, wiggling how you want to wiggle. You are also welcome to add in some little rolls of your rib cage or any other movement that feels good here, maybe some little circles with your hips. Make sure you're still breathing. Beautiful. We're gonna pause in the middle, and because I know we spend all day on our computers, we're gonna stretch out our wrists. So flip your wrists forwards, point your fingers back towards your knees. It might be plenty to hold in total stillness. This might feel like a big stretch. You might add a little cat-cow on top of that. You might add a little shift backwards and forwards. All right, then flip your hands forwards again. And this one you might do 1 hand at a time or 2, but we're actually gonna flip the palm up, pointing your fingers back towards your knees. So kind of the same shape, but palm towards the sky. And 1 hand might be enough, or you might do 2 hands at the same time. You can hold in stillness, add that little cat-cow again, rock it back, move it around. Maybe even wiggle your fingers or drum your nails against the ground. All right, if you're doing 1 hand at a time, switch to side number 2. Make sure you even yourself out. Staying wide across your collarbones, little elbow creases are kind of wrapping towards the front of your yoga mat. So try to wrap the elbows, the inner biceps forwards. All right, I think that's plenty. Let's point the hands back to the front, tuck your toes under, downward facing dog. So send your hips up and back, press through your hands. Now this is kind of a big shape, so if this feels like a lot, you are welcome to drop down to your knees and walk the hands forwards instead, or maybe let the elbows rest on the floor. But if you're feeling good in your down dog, you might pedal it out, bending one knee more than the other and kind of leaning into that opposite side leg, where you might feel slightly more stretching sensation in the hamstrings, the backs of the knees. And make sure you're really solidly connected to the floor with your palms, so that index and big thumb, like your big toe, your thumb and your index knuckles especially rooting down. We're gonna pause, find a little stillness, give your head a little shake, a little nod, and then shift forwards towards a plank on your knees or your toes. I'm gonna stay on my knees today. And as you exhale, lower down to the ground, point your elbows towards the wall behind you. Now, once you get to the floor, untuck your toes if they aren't already. We're gonna inhale to a cobra. So peel your heart forwards, Bhujangasana. And on the exhale, lower right back down. On the inhale, press your way up towards that tabletop again, tuck your toes under, and as you exhale, downward facing dog. We're gonna move through that same pattern again. Big inhale shifts us forwards towards plank on knees or toes, and on the exhale, lower slow motion down to the floor. Toes untuck once you get there. Inhale to Bhujangasana, back of the neck long. Even as you lift your forehead off the yoga mat, we'll lower back down. Inhale back towards your tabletop, tuck your toes, and we'll meet in that downward facing dog again. We're gonna move a little bigger on the mat. So from down dog, inhale to your toes, and then start to walk your feet up to meet your hands. You can bend your knees as much as you need to as we make our way up there. Feet could be narrow, big toes touching. Feet could be wide, about as wide as hips. Up to you and your body today. As you inhale, lift up halfway, bring your hands to your shins or your thighs. We're gonna pause here for a moment. And I want you to give yourself a little bit of traction. So press into your shins or press into your thighs, and then feel how that kind of lengthens your spine towards the front of the space. We'll make ourselves taller today. Just kidding, I wish. One more big inhale here. On your exhale, fold down, head heavy. Inhale to rise, press down through your feet, sweep your arms up to the sky. On your exhale, bring both hands to heart center. Inhale to reach up, take up a lot of space here. Maybe lift your gaze up, your heart up. On the exhale, dive it down. We're coming back to the forward fold. You can bend your knees, and we're gonna move through that half sun salutation again. Inhale to your halfway lift, lengthen forwards. Exhale, fold down, head heavy. Inhale to rise, arms sweep skyward. And on the exhale, bring your hands to heart center. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, dive down. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, fold. All right. Just the left foot is going to step towards the back of the mat. So your hands can find the ground, big giant step. This could be another opportunity to use your towel, your blanket, your couch cushion. We're gonna drop the left knee down behind us and pause here for a moment. Find your right foot, find your bearings. If it feels okay, we might bring the hands up to the right thigh. Kind of standing up tall. Beautiful. Okay, now a little bit different than perhaps usual. We're gonna shift back so we're above this left knee. And because we sit at our desks all day like little desk trolls, we're gonna find a little link through the low back and see if we can keep the front of this left hip kind of flat and this neutral pelvis. Now we're gonna keep that, drive down through your right heel and use that right leg to pull your hips slightly forward, and hopefully you'll feel a little stretching sensation in the front of your left hip flexors. And then if you want to add an extra little spice, you can imagine that even here, you're trying to drag your left knee forward. Oftentimes, when we're feeling tightness, we think only about stretching, but it's equally as important to strengthen those areas that feel that tightness sensation. Arms could stay on your thigh, they could reach up to the sky. They could even sweep down behind your back. You might clasp, you might reach towards the wall behind. One more big breath in where you are. Then sweep both hands down to frame that right foot. Now, depending how long your arms are, the ground might be kind of far away. So feel free to kind of wiggle around, stay on your fingertips, whatever you need to do here. On your inhale, I just want you to reach your heart forwards. And on your exhale, pull your right hip crease towards the back wall any amount. It's a little half split. So your knee might stay bent, your leg might get straight, up to you. As you inhale, shift it forwards again. Check out the wall in front of you. And on the exhale, pull that right hip towards the wall behind you. One more time, inhaling forwards. And exhale, pull it back. Ardha Hanumanasana, it's our half split. So you could adjust, you could scoot the leg forwards. You could stay up a little higher if that feels less intense on the hamstrings. You can fold in a little lower if you want extra stretch. But in all versions, let's pull those toes back and reach the heart forwards. You can hold in stillness or you can wiggle it out. Sometimes I like to shift the hips side to side, and then you get kind of a shift of sensation across the back of your leg. Here for one more moment, one more breath. All right, let's rebend that right knee, tuck your left toes under behind you, and straighten that back left leg. We're gonna turn towards the left. So turn your right toes towards the left and your left heel to the ground. You're in a wide-legged forward fold. Now you could put a block, a really sturdy water bottle like a Hydro Flask, a little step stool under your hands, or bring them down to the ground. As you inhale, find some length here, reach long through your spine. And on the exhale, let your head reach down towards the ground. We'll do that once more. Inhale, find that length. And exhale, let your head hang heavy. All right, you can stay right here, or you can move it around. Sometimes I like to bend one knee, then the other. You could let your spine kind of follow. You could grab your ankles, walk your hands back. You got a few moments to do what you want. If you're feeling extra adventurous, if there's any headstanders in here, you could headstand or forearm stand or handstand. All right, one more breath where you are. Next inhale, lift up halfway, find length through your spine. If your knee's a little bend, we're gonna bring it back to the front. So all 10 toes pivoting forward, left heel high. We're gonna heel toe this right foot out to the right. Drop the left knee back down, lizard pose. So there's a lot of different ways to do lizard pose. Any of them are great options today. So you can stay on your hands. If this already feels kind of spicy, you could bring your hands up on something higher. You can point your toes forward. You can point your toes out on a diagonal. If you love a good quad stretch, you can bend your left knee and catch your left foot with your right hand. We're gonna start to make our way back to hands if you're somewhere else. Sweep your right leg back to meet your left leg. You're back in your kneeling plank here. Big inhale to find the length. And on the exhale, lower down towards the ground. Inhale to Bhujangasana. Peel the heart forwards and up. And on your exhale, lower right back down. Inhale up towards tabletop. Tuck your toes. On your exhale, downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. All right, we're gonna even ourselves out. Big inhale to your tippy toes. Let that exhale carry you all the way towards the front of your yoga mat. Feet can be wide, feet can be narrow, just as before. Inhale to lift up halfway, lengthen. And exhale, fold it down. Inhale to rise. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, dive down. Inhale to your halfway lift. And on the exhale, fold. Now it's going to be just your right foot that steps all the way towards the back. Big step as you can make it. And once you get there, right knee drops down gently, slowly. So you could put it on a blanket, a towel, a yoga mat. You can double it up. Some people fold the mat over if that works for you. And again, we'll find the stability first. If you're feeling kind of wobbly, you can scoot your left foot out a little bit wider to the left. And then let's start with hands on the left side. Just find our balance. Once we've got our balance, we're gonna shift back. Check in with this tilt of the pelvis. Move more towards neutral. So if you feel like you're kind of leaning on this left side, I want you to pick up that front little hip bone and then keep that kind of neutral pelvis. Drive down to that left heel and use that strong left leg to draw the hips forward. And so again, we're focusing on the front of this right hip right here. Breathing into it. If you want that isometric activation as well, you can start to kind of kick your right thigh forward. It's not going to move, but you might feel that kind of waking up of those hip flexor muscles. Arms could reach up. Arms could sweep behind you. Could stay on your thigh, whatever you're feeling today. One more big inhale where you are. And then release your hands down to frame your left foot. If you happen to have yoga blocks, always welcome to use them, but otherwise we'll just make do. Big inhale to reach your heart forwards. And on your exhale, pull your hips back any amount. It could be a small amount, a big amount, towards that Ardha Hanumanasana, that half split. We'll do that twice more. Inhaling forward, see what's in front of you. And exhale, lead with that left hip crease, pulling back. Once more, shifting forwards. Shifting back. We're gonna pause here for a moment. So remember, you can come up higher. If you wanna ease out of the intensity on the back of the leg, you can fold in more. If you want more sensation, you can wiggle it out if that was kind of interesting. Maybe rotate from the top of that thigh bone, the femur. But in all versions, let's pull those toes back to your heart. Reach your heart forwards towards your toes. All right, re-bend that left knee, shift forward, tuck your right toes under, straighten your right leg so your knee lifts up. We're turning towards the right, left toes turn in, right heel pivots down, wide-legged fold towards the long right side of your mat. I'm turning sideways just so I'm not facing away from you. And then once you get there, hands can be where you like them, but inhale to find some length through your spine. And on the exhale, maybe let yourself hang a little heavier. One more time, inhaling to lengthen. And exhale, let your head hang. Maybe give it a little nod, little shake. Got a couple breaths again, maybe wiggle it around, shake it out. All right, in the next inhale or so, lift up to that halfway lift, that lengthen, and then give your knees a little bend. We're gonna walk it back towards the front. So walking your hands towards the left foot, left toes pivot forwards, right heel pivots high. Now heel toe that left foot out to the left, bring your left arm inside the left foot, and you can stay right here or take any of those other versions that we talked about on side number 1. If you're going for the quad stretch, this time it's left hand to right foot. And if you're bending that knee, make sure you are above your kneecap. It's not gonna feel great right on the kneecaps. You're actually on the bottom of your thigh here, that kind of fleshy part right above the knee. We'll make our way back up to hands if you're somewhere else. Sweep that left leg back to meet the right. You're in your kneeling plank. Big inhale here. On the exhale, lower all the way down to the ground. Once you get to the earth, inhale to your cobra, peel up. And exhale, lower down. Reach your hands back by your hips. We're going to take half of a Shalabhasana. So with your hands reaching back, you could clasp them behind you if you prefer. But next inhale, peel your upper body off the ground. Reach your hands, clasped or not, towards your feet. So we're waking up those upper back muscles, widening and lengthening across the front of the body. Kind of the opposite of how we spend most of our time. Computers, cars, bikes, all that. Okay, release down. One ear to the mat. Bend your knees. Give them a little windshield wiper side to side. You can do the exact same thing, or if you want to, you can add in the legs. So release your shins down. Bring your nose or your forehead to the ground. Arms set up the same way. Next inhale, lift either just your upper body or perhaps your legs as well. This might be a baby hover, or you might get your thighs off the ground. You might get your rib cage off the ground. One more big inhale. Exhale to release other ear to the ground. Bend your knees, windshield wiper your shins. Release your shins down, hands under your elbows. Press your way back towards a seat. Lock your hands in and roll yourself upright. Now, before we settle into our final relaxation, I wanted to do one final little, actually a neuro drill, but I think it's incredibly beneficial because we spend so much time looking at our computers. So one recommendation, which we're not going to do right now, but throughout your day, go find a window and focus on something really far away for like a whole minute straight. So when we're looking at the computer, when we're looking at something close to us, our eyes diverge, which actually weakens the eye muscles, but it also kind of simulates that flight or fight response. So it has that stress reaction in our bodies. So looking at things far away diverges the eyes, the opposite response, and also is related to the extensor tone in our body. So if you think flexion, we're curling in, extension, we're opening up the front of the body. So really good for our bodies, but one other thing we can do for our eyes is a little bit of a peripheral wake up since we're like kind of locked into a computer screen. So you're gonna look at something in front of you, reach your hands down by your sides and bring them so they're barely in your peripheral vision. Give yourself a little jazz finger. All right, now you're gonna take those jazz fingers, keep looking forwards, but keep the jazz fingers in your peripheral and kind of focus on them with your peripheral vision. And then walk those little jazz fingers all the way up the edge of your peripheral vision. So out to the sides, and your hands might be in further in front in some areas and further behind in some areas. It depends on how your eyes' peripheral vision is doing today. All the way up overhead, so you can see those little jazz fingers above you, and we'll bring it back down. So you're still looking straight ahead, but aware of those little jazz fingers in the sides. So we're just broadening that gaze out, that vision again. All right. So another little thing you can do throughout your day, just pause, do your jazz fingers, and then get back to your screen when you need to. Take a seat, hold on behind your thighs, sit up tall, take an inhale, lift your heart. And then on the exhale, around your spine, kind of carve out, scoop out the front of your body. Roll down vertebra by vertebra. And if there are any last stretches your body needs, now is the time. Feel free to move through final shapes. But if you feel ready for a Shavasana, settle in. If you have to hop and be somewhere exactly at the top of the hour, you've got about 1.5 minutes until then. But if you can stick around for about 2 more minutes, Shavasana is a wonderful way to integrate. Highly recommend sticking around. For Shavasana, you could lie on your back, palms up by your sides, but you are also welcome to any other shape that feels effortless in your body. Eyes can be open or closed. You can fidget, you can wiggle. Stillness is not always
an option that feels comfortable or safe. So feel free to do what you need in this shape. You are welcome to stay here a little bit longer and extend your Shavasana. You're ready to end this practice together. Start to deepen your breath. And with that deeper breath, find a little bit of movement in your body, draw some energy in. Invite in anything that would be supportive or sustaining for you as you head into the rest of your day and your week. And eventually make your way up to your final seated shape. So you might roll off to one side along the way, or you could just rock and roll until you're upright. Sitting up tall, the least amount of effort possible. Stack your bones, head on shoulders, shoulders on hips. Softening your shoulders, your rib cage, your strong legs. Reaching up through the crown of your head, the roof of your mouth. We'll seal our practice here with the breath together. So bring both hands up to heart center, Anjali Mudra. Open your mouth and exhale out. Take a really deep breath in, filling up. Sigh that breath out. A lot of gratitude. Thank you for joining, sharing in this practice of energy and breath and movement today. Thank you.